Hi there. Welcome to This Week with God, a weekly program aired every Sunday on different media platforms. You may share the links to your family, friends, and acquaintances so that they may also get to know Christ as their personal Savior. So, welcome to this first episode. First things first. First things first, huh? Well, what do I mean by first things first? If we're talking about the Bible, I think we better go to its very first book, Genesis. Genesis 1, verse 1. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Now, let's break this verse down. Here we see that the Bible opens up with the words, in the beginning. What does this really mean? First of all, it tells us that whatever comes after these words has a beginning. It may have no end, but at least it has beginning. It tells us that there was a start for whatever is happening in this mystic clause. Now, right after the first biblical clause, we find the subject, not of the chapter, the verse, or even the whole book of Genesis, but of the entire Bible. The word tells us, in the beginning, God. You see, all throughout the Bible, whatever story you take, whatever prophecy you choose to discuss, whatever verse you want to understand, it all boils down to one word, God. But not only in the Bible can we find that He is the Word, the being to whom it all boils down to. Take for instance, history. History was divided in two, BC and AD, because of one man, Jesus Christ, who, by the way, is God. Check John 10:30. I and my Father are one. So we see that there is equality. There's no difference between Jesus and His Father. Now fine, if history does not convince you, take science. Of course you can find God in science. But how? Take the illustration of the solar system. All those planets are hanging in the middle of the universe, where we know that there's no gravity. So how can they hang and not move, not clash against each other, and revolve around their own axis? Now, I don't know about you, but for me, that gives me some evidence that there is a greater being, a greater force, and a greater creating hand than the Big Bang explosion. When you explore the human body, and you see how it's been made, how it's constituted, you see the cells, and you get to know that a cell is a science in itself, at least I can't deny that there is a creator. Friends, we should not deceive ourselves by saying and or believing that there is no God. Yes, that's what society has told us for years. But should we listen more to our friends, teachers, even parents, or to the social media that always bombards our minds with flashing images and videos, to books or music, rather than to the source of all things? From the beginning of the Bible, we see that God is a central figure, not us. Now, let's go back to Genesis 1, verse 1. Here the verse continues saying, in the beginning God created. Here we see that whatever comes after the word created was created. And we know that according to the text, God created it from the beginning of whatever was created. It's kind of mysterious. And then, Genesis 1 verse 1 concludes saying, in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. The heavens and the earth. What does this mean? You see, in pagan cultures, there was a god for everything. Literally everything. A god for the rain, a god for the sun, a god for fertility, a god for the wind, a god to find a spouse, etc., etc. Anyways, what God is trying to tell us in His Word is that He is the God, not only of the heavens, not only of the earth, but of both. The God who created and owns everything. Satan has tried to deceive us by dividing the gods by function and ability, because guess what? After all those gods, quote unquote, are representations of Himself, and He doesn't have the authority of saying that He is the creator and God of the heavens and the earth. Now, I'd like to finish up with a couple of points. Number one, the heavens, the earth, and all that they contain have a beginning. God doesn't. He's always existed, He'll always exist, and He exists today. We did not show up. We're not a project of an explosion or evolution. we have a beginning. And number two, God is the central figure of all knowledge. If you take law, He is our advocate and the great judge. If you take health and or medicine, He's the great physician. If you take that simple knowledge of leading the sheep, He's the good shepherd. If you take carpentry, He's the great carpenter of reality. Even if you take science, you'll find out that He is the creator of all living things, something that human scientists can't do. So if you ever feel like you don't have a purpose in this world, like there's no reason for living, like hope is simply 4 letters written in indestructible paper, like joy is a lie to deceive the weak, remember that there is a God who, from the beginning, has thought of you because, as we'll find in the next episodes, He created all things for us. And if you remember that, you'll find that hope can be indestructible, that joy is for real, and most importantly, you'll find that God is for real.